Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. For today's video, we will be making these cute cookie earrings out of polymer clay and chalk. Let's get this tutorial started. So for the materials, they're all in different orders. You'll just need a cookie color and a chocolate chip color for the first one, and then 2 of the chocolate chip color or just a darker chocolate cookie color. And then for number 3, you'll need the cookie color and the frosting color that you want. Along with that, you'll need earring backings for all of them, super glue, and some chalk for the second cookie. So starting with the chocolate chip cookie, I just took my cookie color, my base cookie color. Also, I got that color by mixing white and brown. And then I'm going to split it into 2 parts and so that I can make them into matching earrings. And then I'm rolling those into balls, because if I roll them into a ball, then I can flatten it down so that it turns into a cookie shape. And then I'm making a little more rounded on the top, kind of like if a sphere was cut in half, because that's more of a shape that the cookie would be. So I did that with the first one. Here's me doing it with the second one. And then after this, I will add the chocolate chips. Basically, I just took the chocolate color and I broke it up into really, really small little dots. And they'll seem smaller when you're breaking them, but then once you put them on the cookie, they'll actually be bigger than you expected, maybe. So I zoomed in so you can see it better. So I've seen a lot of people do it where they also texture the cookies, but I like mine more of the cartoonish look for the chocolate chip cookies. And so I'm just adding the balls on, and I'm trying to make it so that they're not all the same size, because chocolate chips wouldn't all be the same size in a cookie. After I finish sticking all the chocolate chips onto this cookie, I'll show you how I stuck them onto the other one, but I'll speed it up so it doesn't take as long. A tip that I have about putting the chocolate chips onto these is not just to put it on the top, but also to put it on the sides of the cookie. I'll show you in a second. But that way it looks more like a chocolate chip cookie, because the chocolate chips aren't always at the top of the cookie. And yeah, as you can see, there's me making them all different sizes so they're not all the same size, spreading them around the cookie. Also, something fun is these cookie earrings that I'm making look a lot like these cookie toys I had as a kid. So maybe that's where my brain is making me make them look like this. But yeah, you can definitely do texturing, like I said earlier, or you don't have to. You can just do the normal cookie shape like I am right now. So there's that one. Here's me doing the other one really fast. Here's me finishing up the second chocolate chip cookie. After this, we'll move on to the chocolate crinkle cookie, and I will show you how to do that. So first, I rolled the colors into 2 of the ball shapes of clay, and then I put them in the refrigerator, and that's why they were in the plastic bag. I put them in the refrigerator so that when I squished them down into the cookie shape, it kind of broke at the edges because the clay was a little bit harder. And there we have those, and then I just wanted to add a little bit more of the crinkle shape. So I just took a piece of paper, as you can see, and I just kind of added to it and poked it into the sides of it to make sure I could get the shape that I wanted. And as you can see, I just kept messing with it until I felt like it looked how I wanted it to look. There's the first one, and then here's me doing the second one. I just took the paper some more and added the same sort of crinkles to this one, but they don't have to be exact because they'll work either way. So after I was finished with that, I took my chalk and then I just took scissors to scratch off some of the chalk into powder. You can use like your nail or a pencil or anything that can just scrape it off. But I just scraped some off on top of it while I was scraping it, and it added kind of the powdery sugar look. And then I just used the extra powdered sugar or chalk that had fallen on the paper to put on the other one. And so there we go. I'm just tapping it and kind of messing with it so that it looks how I want it to. And if you have little areas that have more of the chalk than other areas, then that's perfect because it looks more like real powdered. These, out of all the cookie earrings that I've made, look the most real in my opinion. So now we're moving on to the third one, which is the sugar cookie. So similar to the first cookie, We split the cookie color into 2 separate but equal parts, and then we roll it into clay balls. So after that, I'm going to take it and squish it down into the cookie shape, just like before. This one's going to be a little bit flatter than the chocolate chip cookie. So pretty much I make it into very flat cylinder shapes. And then I'm going to take the frosting color, and you can take as much as you think you'll need. I used about 1/3 of the amount of clay that I used for the base of the cookie, and I just flattened it out until it was the amount that I thought would fit the cookie the best. And then there, I just flattened it down. So there we are. And then here's me just doing the second sugar cookie. After this, you're going to need to prepare some sprinkles colors. I have blue and yellow. And basically what we're going to be doing with those is we're going to split them into super small sprinkle shapes. And that's kind of similar to how we did with the chocolate chip cookies, except they're going to be a little bit longer and not as much as little balls. So here's me doing it with the blue. You can see that I made it super small. And then I just flattened it down onto the cookie. And when I'm doing this, I'm going to do the same color at the same time, but you want to make sure that you're mixing it up so that not all of the same color is right next to each other. You can see how I did like a 3 pattern on there. I like using 3s, defaulting to 3s because they're nice to look at. Then here's me doing it with the other cookie. I had to make that one a little bit smaller. So if you ever need to make it smaller, you can just split it in half and roll it again. There's me putting the blue one on. And then I will put the yellow sprinkles on in a second. I will just let you watch now, and it should go pretty fast because I think I sped it up a little bit. So then we can move on to baking and gluing. The next step was to bake them, so follow your clay's instructions. Sometimes it'll be different, but for me, I just put it in the oven for 10 minutes on 375. Alright, next is to glue. You can use any type of glue, hot glue, anything, but I like super glue because I know it'll stay. For this first one, I put the glue on the cookie first and then the earring backing, but I noticed that I had to recenter it a few times because it kept slipping, so I decided to start by putting the super glue on the earring backing and then putting it onto the back of the cookie. There's me straightening it out, and then I'm just going to let those dry, and I'm going to do it with the other cookies. So I just flipped the other cookies around, so that would be easier just to put the earring backing onto the cookie on the paper, because then it can be more centered. The next step isn't necessary, but I just did it for my own liking because I like my things to be a little bit shiny and finished, but I used Mod Podge as a sort of glaze. You can use polymer clay glaze, which is actually meant for this purpose, or you can use Mod Podge like me, or you can use clear nail polish, like the top coat that you would usually use, and I found that that works really well on my polymer clay stuff. Right now though, I'm just going to be using Mod Podge because it's what I had with me and because it works great. So, sorry it's a little bit out of frame. I'll get it in frame in a second. There we are. And so basically, I'm just painting the Mod Podge onto it with this paintbrush. Also, make sure to wash off your paintbrush after you do it with the Mod Podge, or else it glues to itself, and then it's not very usable anymore. I mean, always wash your paintbrushes though. So I just smoothed it out till it was almost all the way see-through, because it will dry a little bit see-through, but if you have too thick of a layer, it will dry a little bit white. So just make sure you're finished. I added some around the comb so that it covered the whole thing. Then here I am doing it with the crinkle cookies, but then it took a little bit of the powdered sugar look off, so I just added a little bit more of the chalk, and then it looked great. And it actually looked better than before in my opinion. And also that way it will stick on better. You can do it both before and after you do the glaze like I did, which I think worked actually pretty well, or you can skip a step and just do it after you put the glaze on. But I like this because it adds more color and dimension, and these ones weren't as shiny because they had the chalk on the outside, but I think that they turned out great. They actually look like real cookies in my opinion. And then these last ones looked super cute with the glaze. They looked super cute anyways, but making them a little bit shiny was just awesome. Also, I'm putting it down onto some parchment paper after they dry dry, you can use wax paper or parchment paper or any of that baking stuff. I just use the same paper that I use to bake it in the oven, but that way it doesn't stick to the paper. The earrings don't stick to the paper because of the Mod Podge, because Mod Podge is technically a type of glue. So anyways, I just put them onto there and they worked fine. They didn't get stuck to it at all because it's baking paper. Here's me doing it to the other cookie. I had to make sure to not let it get stuck in between the sprinkles and itself, but it worked super well because now I know the sprinkles will stay onto the cookie once it dries. Anyways, so here's my finished cookies. When I take pictures for my new Etsy shop, which I will tell you more about at the end, and also for Instagram and thumbnails and things, I always put it on this paper that I've bought at Hobby Lobby, and it just makes it look like it's on granite. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you again for supporting me too. Also, I am in the process of making an Etsy shop. I will put more information about it in my description, and when I open, I'll put my link in there. But thank you again for watching.